What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your host with the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys the next piece of One Piece. Chapter 1035, Zoro versus King. And we get a new cover serial. We're not really seeing very much. It's just the Germa 66 leaving Whole Cake Island from the previous arc. But it's apparently going to be a new cover serial. Not really much more to discuss, but I'm glad that the art requests are over and we're getting another cover serial. I would have preferred to focus on somebody else that I actually gave a shit about. I'm not a hugest fan of the Germa or Judge, but, you know, it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing to get ourselves a cover serial. Now, very, very happy with this chapter, and I'll tell you why. Because clearly, Queen has been defeated. Queen has been defeated by Sanji. We see this at the beginning of the chapter. Though the title is in chapter Zoro versus King, which takes up the majority of the chapter, I'm glad that the whole Sanji versus Queen thing is now down and out. And once again, a lot of people are talking about this and a lot of people are discussing this, power scaling, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying not to get too involved with that. At the end of the day, as everything that I feel about Sanji, because I've gotten comments about that and stuff, is due to his character, not his power-up. His power-up makes sense, is fine, and the fact that he's defeating a second-string Yonko commander, if he's supposed to be the third strongest, which, Jinbei, but if he's supposed to be one of the strongest part of the monster trio, then he has to be this level. If, you know, Luffy fights the captain, Zoro fights the second strongest, and Sanji's supposedly supposed to fight and defeat the third strongest. And here we're seeing that. I would argue Queen is clearly the third strongest of the Beast Pirates. So this makes sense from a narrative perspective, and I'm happy with it. And shot Queen out of Onigashima. Like, that was a stupidly crazy kick. So really, really cool. Glad for Sanji in that regard. Sanji's character might be redeemed next arc. Now, the girl that apparently was beaten and blah, 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 and then we all know and stuff like that. Like, once again, the whole, I have lost my memories, maybe I did hit a woman, it was not hitting me. I think it's bullshit, and the fact that Sanji even considered it. But, that being said, I've already said my piece about that. The point of the matter is that Sanji saves the mouse of the girl and blah, 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 and then he falls. He remembers his childhood, and he remembers, you know, feeding a mouse and stuff like that. He's feeding mice again, you know, he's making food, blah, blah, blah. And Sanji asks, of course, being the gentleman that he is, says, Miss, are you okay, and stuff, and then falls down, and she calls for a medic sort of idea. But at the end of the day, it's official. The victor is Sanji. Queen is officially been defeated. So now it's just King, Big Mom, and Kaido. Those are the big names still in play. Now, and Orochi. Yeah. Fact of the matter is that this is where we jump into the heat. This is where we jump into the battle that really matters. The first mate of the future Pirate King's crew. And this is where, of course, he has attacked King. He has removed, apparently, Zoro has removed the mask completely. Has completely removed the mask. It almost looks like he cut his wing off there, but it was just to showcase, of course, the swords Zoro was using. And he said when the flame is on his back out, he's faster. So he's learning more and more about the Lunarian species as we go. Though I will argue that it really had... It wasn't like... It's sort of a translation issue, I think. I think it's coming across wrong, because I saw people complaining about this chapter earlier on when it was first released on Friday. At the end of the day, what happened is that for some reason, the way it was said was that if Zoro knows what type of race he is, that's going to be an advantage. That came across really wrong. I don't think that's really what he meant. What he meant was if he can figure out his body structure, if he can figure out, sort of like a devil fruit user, if he can figure out how and why he moves the way he moves, where's his weak points. What he meant by that was, where is his weakness? What is his, like, because he can't be perfect on all fronts. There's got to be something, you know, devil fruit users in water, for example, you know, that kind of idea. That's sort of what Zoro was implying. People took it, in my opinion, a little too literally, that, oh, Lunarian, I have no idea what that means, but now I can defeat you. It's like, no, that's not exactly what we were going for. I blame the translation for that. When Zoro was trying to figure out, like, okay, what he wanted to figure out was this stuff. Like, okay, when the flames are out on his back, He's faster, stronger, weaker. Like, those are the things, those are the inklings he needs in a fight. And that's what I would argue is what he meant and what he needs to know. But his defenses, which, remember, his lion song and stuff, he couldn't hit this guy when the flames were out. It didn't do anything. But then his defenses get weaker and his speed goes up. So it's like a Pokemon nature here. We're a Pokemon nature for King. Okay, fair enough. And King looking like a stud. King looking like, you know, if I wasn't married, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'd be a little bit famished here. I think I'd be a little bit swooned, if you know what I mean. I mean, this man got the locks of hair and everything. He's got that beautiful caramel complexion. It's probably red, but you know, I'm assuming that it's actually red skin. But either way, he's got beautiful skin, complexion, and tone. He's got this gorgeous locks of hair. The man looks like goddamn. So, anyways, you know, you got to take a shot. You got to take a shot when you see a man that pretty. Let's just be real. He is just so very pretty. Anyways, so King's mask does break off, and it seems like he rips off the remnants of the mask, sort of idea. So everyone's sort of foaming at the mouth. The guys that were knocked out by Zoro's Conqueror's Hockey are slowly regaining consciousness, and they're realizing, like, black wings, white hair, and dark brown skin. So I was wrong about the red skin. Never mind. And the world government is offering 100 million berries for any information on the Lunaries, and he just, boom, flaming sword, boom, and he's just like, all right, he's just gonna end all their lives. You know what I mean? So he uses an Imperial Fire Dragon attack, and he burns up all the people that saw him unmasked. Now, actually, he's got this sweet-ass tattoo-looking thing as well. Not gonna lie, the tattoo looks cool. The tattoo looks really cool around the eye, sort of idea. Reminded me of like a Dragon Age playthrough. You know, Dragon Age was very big on the tattoos for your character creation. And at first I was like, face tattoos? They're kind of stupid. Face tattoos have always been stupid. But then it sort of grows on you and you're kind of like, yeah, he looks like a badass with a face tattoo. So, definitely looking really, really cool. King covering himself up in that gimp suit mask is just a shame, because this man, he's a stud. This man, like Jack, fodder. Let's just be realistic. Jack, fodder. Loses every single fight. Loses every fight, even when he's got unfair advantages. He loses every single fight. Queen is funky. And that's where it ends. King, badass. King's a badass. Now, I will argue, not trying to get power scaling people involved, Katakuri is clearly stronger than King and Queen. Katakuri is clearly stronger as far as a Yonko commander. Marco is clearly stronger. And I would argue probably Ben Beckman is as well. I think that the Beast Pirates have some of the weakest of Yonko Commander level. You'd almost have to bottom tier them if you're going to use the power scaling thing. Not that King isn't a badass, not that he's really, really strong. But I think from what we've seen and what we know, it just doesn't seem that way to me. But anyways, so Zoro actually asks him about this and says, you're better off focusing on me than throwing a tantrum on your men, sort of like egging them on. And he said, so the government is invested in your kind, want to tell me about your race, you know, want to tell me about yourself, sort of idea. And King says, I don't need to tell things to a dead man, and they fight. It's actually really well done. I know some people are going to be unhappy with this fight, but I'm glad we're wrapping up the fights. Like, Jack's been defeated, Parasparrow's defeated. We're finally getting rid of. Unironically, Raizo's fight is still apparently going on, but we've taken care of Queen, and now we've taken care of King. From all intents and purposes, I believe next chapter we're going to find out that King has been officially defeated. Victor Zoro, sort of idea. Zoro, in my opinion, is still going to try to go to the roof. He's still going to try to go to the roof. If he makes it, I believe he'll probably collapse after this. He'll try. He'll stagger on and be like, gotta get there. Oh, medicine wearing off, clunk. Classic shonen style. I believe that's what's going to happen. I hope he gets back to the roof to help out Luffy, even if for just one more strike, sort of idea. But we'll have to wait and see about that. Either way, Zoro is allowing the sword to drag, Enma to drag all the hockey at him. All his conquerors, all his observation, all his armament hockey. And let's just take a little break from the chapter just to talk about that really, really quickly. King of Lightning made a great video, in my opinion. A great video. It's not long. You should definitely go check it out. But King of Lightning, or Cole, made a video about why Zoro's power-up makes sense. Because, of course, the community is always going to complain. Power scalers are especially devious with this. They're going to complain about the fact that Zoro somehow is able to use Conquerors at a level that Luffy has apparently been able to do so. But Zoro didn't even realize he had it. He's unaware of it, and he seems to use it just as well as Luffy is doing. And he doesn't even seem to realize the Conqueror's Haki thing. To summarize King of Lightning's video, though I urge you to go check it out, is the fact of the matter is that Enma draws out Haki. It was never stated it was only armament Haki. There's your answer. At the end of the day, Enma, when he's been using Enma, has been drawing out all of Zoro's Haki. Haki is one pool. It's not 3 separate pools that you draw out of. And even if it was, Enma, I would argue, draws out of all 3. Not just Armament, not just Observation, not just Conquerors. It draws out all 3. So somebody who is unaware that they have Conquerors, in the case of Zoro, Zoro is unaware that he has Conquerors, doesn't mean he doesn't have it, and doesn't mean, sort of like, once again, and we've seen evidence for this, Luffy used Conquerors in Marineford. Luffy has used Conquerors not realizing what he's doing. He was subconsciously he was using Haki before he understood Haki. So this has precedent. There is no plot hole. There is no issue with this. And Zoro has now officially been using Conqueror's Haki without realizing it because of Enma. Unlike Luffy, who got trained knowing he had Conquerors, Zoro was not aware of it, but Enma is drawing it all out. So Enma is the reason he went Asura against Kaido, scarred Kaido because he coated his body in, or his blades in Conqueror's Haki. Kaido recognized this. Zoro didn't know what the hell he was talking about because he's not aware. All he knows is that Enma is draining his Haki. He doesn't know that he's got Conquerors. Enma does, because Enma is not discriminating the type of Haki. And it is drawing out all that power, all the Haki. And so, of course, Zoro's not aware of it, but Kaido was because it scarred him and cut him. And then again, with the King fight, what are you talking about kingly ambitions? He doesn't understand because he's not aware of it himself. He's just giving Enma what it wants, allowing it to take Haki out of his body. Enma is taking all the Haki. Zoro doesn't need to be aware that he's got it. It makes perfect sense, and it would explain why he's able to skip a step, so to speak. It's actually very well done for a great power-up. Everyone was saying, is Enma considered a power-up or not for Zoro? This is showcasing it is, because what it did was draw out Conqueror's Haki out of Zoro. Zoro had no inkling he had it, and Enma has forced him into using it without his own knowledge. And now, after the end of this, it'll be acknowledged that he's got it. So it's really great. It's actually, I think it's great power scaling. I think it's flawless. It puts Zoro back as part of the Rooftop Gang, as one of the members. Of course, Rayleigh was not weak. Rayleigh fights admirals for fun in his 80s, so let's be realistic here. The future first mate of the future pirate king needs to be at like Rayleigh level by the end. Let's just be realistic. So King also acknowledges, though, in this fight that he's close to his limit as well. So now this is where Zoro says that, all right, it's time that we like both go all out with an attack. So Zoro starts with King of Hell, King of the Underworld, 3-sword style. And this is where, of course, King acknowledges that Kaido is going to be the next king of the pirates. We get a fact that Kaido, when he was a young man, this was years and years ago, we see King as a young boy. When he was captured by the government, probably this is where Vegapunk and stuff like that figured out the fruits and all that stuff. This is where Kaido decides to form his own crew, and he seems to be in his, I don't know, 20s, maybe his 30s at most. And he was locked up, you know, in the Marineford or somewhere like that. And he tells him, like, come with me. Like, I'm the one who can change the world. And he says that his name is, you know, you're very, very strong. Your name, you should have a kingly name, like King sort of idea. And says, from day on, you're my first mate. You're my right-hand man, and we're going to change the world. And it's very strange to see Kaido, who once again, still skipping leg day, but he's still got the horns, but he doesn't have the mustache. He's got stubble, but he doesn't have the mustache, so I'm going to guess he's in his 20s at this junction, and King has been with him for a very, very long time. Apparently, King's real name is Arbor. That's not a bad name by any stretch, but very, very interesting to be sure. But this is where Zoro and King resume their fight. So we got King's backstory. We understand why King, where he came from and how he came to meet up with Kaido. Now we've got King's backstory. While Kaido was captured by the Marines, which we already knew about for many, many years, he was captured by the Marines. Now we know that in one of his escape attempts, which we assume Kaido could always escape because they can't kill him. You know, they use the guillotine, they use the firing squad, it never works. He broke out for one of his many adventures, but he came across a Lunarian. And he said, hey, are you tired of being their guinea pig? You should join up with me, because I'm going to start my own pirate crew. So once again, I assume the Beast Pirates have been around for an odd 30 years. Kaido was probably in his late 20s, and this would add up, right? So, either way, this is where Zoro and King, as I said, they resume their fight. It's extremely epic. Zoro manages to keep his own. The blade apparently changes form. So King's blade, which initially, remember with all the slots in it to like parry away swords and stuff like that, now we're seeing something much different. I always thought the sword always looked like that, but apparently King can change this at will, because initially it's not like that. When Zoro parries with his 3 swords, then it changes shape. So this sword is very unique. Either it's part of the Lunarian powers, I doubt that. I think it's just the sword's unique ability, and King just has a really cool sword that can do that. But Zoro acknowledges it this time and says, I won't let you take away my name blades again. Conquers, hockeys it up, switches back, and this is where he realizes that he can cut him, because he sped up, the flames are gone, and boom, he launches an attack, cuts him straight down the middle, and King takes a heavy hit. Now, this is where King acknowledges that he's caught on to his powers, and he realizes, you've figured it out, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to be defeated here. So, prepare yourself. But this is where Zoro says, but you're blocking my attacks instead of taking them this time. I thought my attacks had no effect on you. You seem scared of my blades now, bitch. And he's just going at him. He's pushing him, struggling, and this is where he says, this is the kind of thinking that you have that I hate the most. And I will scar you so bad you'll never forget. This is where King launches the attack. The Imperial Guardian Fire Dragon, looking like Kaido once again. Zoro, the man who can cut a dragon, who has cut a dragon on Punk Hazard, who everyone says Zoro kills Kaido. The ZKK group is going to love this, because at the end of the day, Zoro potentially, just in the same way that Zoro, the reason they nerfed Zoro for a lot of arcs is because Zoro would beat the main bad if it weren't that Luffy was the main character, right? So, at full strength, if he hadn't fought Mihawk, Zoro would have beat Arlong. That's just a fact. He could have beat Don Creek. He could have beat a lot of the early villains in One Piece, and that's just a fact. And here, we're getting the idea that, once again, launching Imperial Fire Dragon at Zoro. And Zoro, of course, it's time to not only defeat a Yonko commander, first mate of a Yonko crew. The only one to do so far was Luffy last arc. And now Luffy's Yonko tier, supposedly, and Zoro is about to prove that he is above Yonko Commander tier, because this isn't a Katakuri fight. This isn't okay, power scaling wise, Katakuri was stronger than Luffy at the time of Luffy's victory at Whole Cake. That is a great argument to make, and I'm on that team. Katakuri was stronger and sort of let Luffy win. Chose not to defeat Luffy, if you will. But it's more about the characters, not about the power scaling in that regard. However, here we're seeing Zoro, there's no question, he cuts straight through the dragon using his new style, the King of Hell 3 Dragon style, 103 senses, soaring dragon cutter. And just completely defeats King, cuts his wing off, cuts his sword. This is insane. He cuts through the fire dragon. He conquers Haki, cuts right through King's body, cuts his wing off, and cuts his sword in half. Zoro is a conqueror. Zoro is second strongest on the crew. Let's just be realistic here. He is in the argument with Luffy. He's never been in the argument with Sanji. I'm sorry. There has been zero evidence, and if this doesn't prove it, I don't know what will. There has been zero evidence from Chapter 1 that Zoro and Luffy were not in the same tier almost the entirety of the story, and there has been no evidence that fucking Sanji was ever in that conversation. And this is just proving it again. Zoro is on Luffy tier, not down with Sanji tier. They're a tier apart. They always have been. And if this doesn't prove it, I don't know what to tell you, Sanji fanboys. Zoro is the first mate, is the wings of the Pirate King. He is the first mate. And he's just proving it time and time again. King has officially been defeated. Zoro has defeated a Yonko's first mate clean. First time we've seen it in the series. Yonko commander, first mate defeated cleanly. First time. And it was Zoro who did it. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to lie. I'm a huge Sanji, I'm a huge Zoro fanboy. I am. I like Zoro more than Sanji. But I also like Sanji. So don't think that I'm just shitting on Sanji here. But at the end of the day, all this is doing for your power scalers out there is saying Luffy and Zoro, who have always been neck and neck, are still in the same tier together. That's all I'm saying. I'm not really saying anything about Sanji. I'm just saying that Luffy and Zoro have always been arguably in the same tier. Luffy above Zoro in that tier if you like. But for almost the entirety of the series, that has been a proper statement. And this is proving it if nothing else. Because Luffy barely won against Big Mom's first mate. And now an arc later, Zoro cleanly, while damaged, working off steroids, after blocking Yonko attacks and scarring Yonkos, defeats one of that tier. Doesn't take a genius to figure it out. The numbers don't lie. So anyways, I love this chapter. If this is the last chapter we get of the year, it was a great chapter to end off on. But I'll let you guys go for now. I feel like I'm making a teching long review about this, so we'll end it here. Like, comment, subscribe, and just remember, Zoro over Sanji every day of the week. Happy Christmas, everybody. We'll see you back here next time. Peace out, and we'll see you back here for the next piece of One Piece. Bring it on, Sanji fanboys. Bring it on.